In the previous spoiler, it was mentioned that Luo Feng, knowing he was no match for King Black Razor, used his unparalleled speed to first slay the instigating alien immortal before instantly teleporting out of the battlefield. Afterwards, he returned to human territory via Divine Kingdom teleportation and took a spaceship toward the Virtual Universe Company headquarters. Since the identity of King Blade River was far too conspicuous and could easily draw unwanted attention, Luo Feng immediately reverted to his World Master level aura upon his return. It's worth mentioning that as a core member of the Virtual Universe Company at the World Master level, one enjoys the privilege of cultivating in Primal Chaos City for 3,000 years free of charge. As the direct disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader, however, Luo Feng held permanent residence rights within the city. Thus, once he arrived at the Virtual Universe Company headquarters, if he wished to enter Primal Chaos City, he could immediately be escorted there by a designated envoy, without having to follow the usual procedures or wait for group transfers. During the nearly 10,000 years of Luo Feng's absence, without any world-shaking creations or astonishing feats, those who once admired him gradually turned to envy, and even resentment, believing he enjoyed excessive privileges simply due to his status as the Primal Chaos City leader's direct disciple. Even within the Hong Alliance, several high-ranking members voiced dissatisfaction, claiming that the Primal Chaos City leader's decision to take Luo Feng as a disciple had been a mistake. After all, during Luo Feng's years of obscurity, both Bolin and Rong Jun had advanced to become members of the Virtual Universe Company's primordial void space at the World Master level. Rong Jun in particular demonstrated extraordinary talent, having risen from the position of the strongest domain master of the beginning void space to join the primordial void space. With his current strength, if the World Master qualification battle were to begin immediately, Bolin might very well be demoted back to the beginning void space, while Rong Jun would undoubtedly secure his place in the primordial void space. It should be noted that, apart from Kodi and Venerable Fire Erosion, over 90% of the World Masters among the 5 major powers were unable to secure their positions in their very first qualification battle shortly after a breakthrough. Rong Jun's astonishing rate of progress naturally earned him increasing favor from the higher-ups of the Hong Alliance. Throughout all this, the Primal Chaos City leader remained silent, offering neither explanation nor defense for Luo Feng. After all, the truth that King Blade River's true identity was merely that of a world master was something that could silence human powerhouses, but if exposed, would also invite relentless pursuit and assassination from hostile races. After all, to possess combat strength surpassing even an ordinary Limit King Immortal while still at the World Master level was an achievement that even Kodi and Venerable Fire Erosion could not hope to match. A dazzling star would inevitably shine again one day where humanity's powerhouses would eventually come to recognize Luo Feng's extraordinary genius, but that time could not be now. Likewise, when a lofty King Immortal was assigned the mere duty of escorting Luo Feng, forced to lower himself and respectfully serve as his guide, it was only natural that feelings of resentment and dissatisfaction arose. The immortal subordinates accompanying him were even more vocal in their complaints, openly expressing frustration that Luo Feng, after nearly 10,000 years of mediocrity, still enjoyed such privileges. In their eyes, a King Immortal could easily slay a World Master without effort. There was no need to be so deferential. Yet they had no idea that if Luo Feng truly wished to act, he could annihilate them all in an instant, and leaving them without even the slightest chance to resist. With his current strength, Luo Feng would not even bother to take a high-tier King Immortal seriously on the extraterritorial battlefield. Upon arriving at Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng went straight to King Xinyang's residence, intending to share a drink and catch up with his old friend. It is worth mentioning that during his time on the extraterritorial battlefield, particularly his experiences within the Star Tower, Luo Feng's wealth had skyrocketed by tens of trillions of mixed yuan units, and he had also exchanged his military merits for several 100 billion points. Before returning to Primal Chaos City this time, Luo Feng deliberately exchanged nearly 100 billion military merits within the military system for a bottle of wine as a gift for King Xinyang. The exorbitant price of the wine did not lie in its ability to allow an ordinary person to break through to the universe level and gain exceptional talent in the original law of fire after drinking it, but rather in the fact that even beings as powerful as universe venerables could become intoxicated after a single cup. After all, no faction would willingly spend wealth so vast that even countless Limit King Immortals would go bankrupt just to brew a bottle capable of producing a single universe-level warrior. Upon Luo Feng's return, King Xinyang naturally inquired about his upcoming cultivation plans and arrangements. When he learned that Luo Feng intended to challenge the Heavenly Mountain before venturing into the secret realms of the universe, he expressed full agreement. Though he personally knew Luo Feng's true strength, others were unaware. Thus, many still mocked him behind his back, claiming that Luo Feng, despite achieving nothing noteworthy, occupied a high position and squandered precious resources. Before their drinking and conversation began, Luo Feng directly entered the virtual universe through his consciousness to challenge the world master-level primordial Heavenly Mountain. By this point, Luo Feng's strength, especially after obtaining the inheritance of the Star Tower, was no longer what it once was. According to the rules of Heavenly Mountain, he could not rely on external powers such as the Sure Wu Wings, the Star Scroll, or the General Soul, and even his body was restricted to the World Master level. Yet, even under such conditions, he easily passed through both the foot and the midsection of the mountain using the first two forms of the Beast God weapon. When facing the opponents at the summit, whose strength was 100 times greater than those at the base, Luo Feng still triumphed effortlessly, relying on his indomitable willpower and unshakable consciousness. Standing atop Heavenly Mountain, his heart brimmed with anticipation for the future. After all, he had already stepped into the ranks of the most dazzling geniuses in human history. After conquering Heavenly Mountain, Luo Feng did not stop there and immediately went on to challenge the Heavenly Bridge. Having not seen him for many years, Man Luo was delighted to witness Luo Feng's return to the bridge. However, when Luo Feng expressed his desire to challenge the Guardian of the 21st level, he couldn't help but be astonished as that level symbolized the potential to ascend to the level of a universe venerable. It must be noted that the Heavenly Bridge's trials completely disregard external aids, judging only the absolute mastery and comprehension of the laws, where neither luck nor outside power can play any role. At first, Man Luo thought Luo Feng was being overly confident. It wasn't until she received his message confirming that he had successfully conquered Heavenly Mountain that she realized Luo Feng was anything but reckless. He truly possessed the depth and foundation to challenge that level. After all, anyone capable of reaching the summit of Heavenly Mountain must have law comprehension at least comparable to the 20th level of the Heavenly Bridge. As expected, Luo Feng advanced through the bridge with astonishing efficiency, breaking through from the 14th level all the way to the 20th. It's worth mentioning that the Guardians of the Heavenly Bridge typically wield the same type of weapon as the Challenger. However, regardless of which bridge it is, all its trials are designed around the two original laws, space and time. Thus, Luo Feng's Beast God weapon, forged through the fusion of the metal and space laws, does not belong to the standard framework of these trials. Fortunately, since the virtual universe itself contains the origin of the universe, as long as the practitioner can perform or inscribe secret techniques based on fusion laws, the virtual universe can fully manifest their power without any restriction or weakening. If Luo Feng had relied solely on the original law of space to pass the trials, he likely would have been stopped at the 18th level. This clearly demonstrates that the fusion law far surpasses the mere combination of single laws in both power and profundity. After breaking through the 20th level, Luo Feng, still unsatisfied, immediately challenged the 21st. However, the Guardian of the 21st level had already achieved complete mastery over the original law of space. Its spatial confinement was overwhelmingly powerful, if not for Luo Feng's consciousness and willpower surpassing that of most universe venerables, and for his use of the Beast God weapon's second form to forcibly shatter the spatial lockdown, he would have been instantly suppressed, and his every attack frozen in the space. Despite giving his all, Luo Feng ultimately had no means to resist the space annihilation of universe venerable level intensity. In the end, he was struck down by a single sword and failed to pass the 21st level of the Heavenly Bridge. While Luo Feng was fully focused on his challenge on the Heavenly Bridge, he had no idea that the news of him conquering Heavenly Mountain had already caused a massive uproar among the upper echelons. In fact, among humanity's peak powerhouses, most originally had greater expectations for Rong Jun than for Luo Feng. After all, Rong Jun was a descendant of the founder of Huge Axe Dojo and had demonstrated astonishing talent through his rapid progress in cultivation. Many of them believed his potential far surpassed Luo Feng's, especially since Luo Feng had shown little remarkable achievement over the past 10,000 years. Some even placed enormous wagers, debating which of the two possessed greater potential. But once Luo Feng successfully conquered Heavenly Mountain, they were forced to admit that the truth was undeniable, where Luo Feng had truly surpassed Rong Jun. Some even argued that Rong Jun's performance paled in comparison. Of course, this didn't mean Rong Jun was lacking in talent, rather, Luo Feng's progress was simply too extraordinary, leaving even the most gifted geniuses far behind. To Bolin and Rong Jun, unless they broke through to become universe venerables, they would never be able to catch up to Luo Feng. Yet what they didn't know was that for Luo Feng, becoming a universe venerable was merely a natural step along his path as he was destined to ascend even higher, to the peak of becoming a universe master. In the end, All they could do was gaze up at the figure that kept moving further and further beyond their reach. After completing his challenge, Luo Feng spent a long time in deep conversation with King Xinyang, from whom he gained an even clearer understanding of the true difference between a king immortal and a universe venerable. It's worth mentioning that the three profound mysteries of space mastered by a king immortal are on an entirely different level from the complete original law of space comprehended by a universe venerable. The amount of law power the latter can command is 100-fold or even 1,000-fold greater. This is also why, when a king immortal successfully breaks through to become a universe venerable, the divine body condensed from the complete original law of space can reach up to 100 times the strength it possessed before the breakthrough. Hence, even an invincible king immortal whose combat power rivals that of the weakest universe venerables would find it nearly impossible to survive against a true universe venerable without the support of powerful heavy treasures, let alone contend with one on equal footing. Of course, special life forms are exceptions. For instance, a being with a life gene level 5,000 times greater than that of a peak human world master would naturally possess several times, or even dozens of times, the base strength of a high-tier universe venerable. Combined with their immense physical form, even an invincible king immortal among such beings could easily slay a low-tier universe venerable. This is precisely why Sitting Mountain Guest was so certain that once Luo Feng achieved immortality, he would immediately possess the combat power of an invincible king immortal, perhaps even stand among the very strongest of that rank. After all, the life gene level is the true foundation of innate combat strength, and also the most insurmountable chasm between beings. As the wine took effect, Luo Feng gradually became intoxicated amid their casual conversation. When he awoke from his hangover, he experienced a rare sense of ease and clarity, as though all his worries had melted away. It's worth mentioning that once a cultivator reaches the world master level, their consciousness becomes so powerful that fatigue or sleepiness almost never occur. Even without rest for ages, their souls would not collapse or lose motivation. Thus, being able to feel intoxicated at all was, for Luo Feng, a rare and even precious experience. That was the true value of the wine. Upon waking, Luo Feng strolled leisurely outside King Xinyang's residence while also beginning preparations for his upcoming expedition into the cosmic secret realm. Just as he was considering how to most effectively convert his wealth into strength, he unexpectedly received a slightly longer than usual message from none other than the Primal Chaos City leader himself. After all, Luo Feng was not only the famed King Blade River, but also the one who had conquered the world master level Heavenly Mountain, achieving an extraordinary feat naturally. His standing in the city leader's eyes had risen significantly. In his email, the Primal Chaos City leader not only repeatedly reminded Luo Feng to keep his identity as King Blade River absolutely secret, but also specially arranged for him to have two separate identities for joining the Hom Alliance. This meant that besides his King Blade River identity, Luo Feng could also enter the Hom Alliance's virtual world under the name Luo Feng. It should be noted that any world master from the primordial void space who could pass the Heavenly Mountain test was almost certain, upon breaking through to immortality, to reach the limit King Immortal or even Invincible King Immortal level, thus automatically qualifying to join the Hom Alliance. However, if Luo Feng were to join under the name King Blade River, it would undoubtedly push him into the spotlight, attracting countless assassins and covetous eyes. By contrast, joining as a world master who had merely passed the Heavenly Mountain, though still an extraordinary achievement, would draw far less attention. Moreover, Luo Feng's battle footage was classified under extremely high security clearance. Unless he revealed it himself, no one in the Hom Alliance would ever uncover his true identity. This was the Primal Chaos City leader's way of giving him an additional layer of protection. Using his second identity, Luo Feng arrived at Hom Alliance City, taking residence in a district personally arranged for him by the city leader. It was worth mentioning that compared to the neighborhood where King Blade River originally resided, this new area was home to even more powerful beings. Not only was it more common to encounter Limit King Immortals, but even beings approaching the Invincible King Immortal stage, such as the formidable King Seven Swords, also dwelled there. Although Luo Feng was still only a world master at the time, his feat of conquering the primordial Heavenly Mountain had already marked him as someone destined to become a universe venerable, so even these mighty figures treated him with respect. During his stay, Luo Feng befriended many top-tier powerhouses, including one ranked second on the automaton race's assassination list. Seeing that the Primal Chaos City leader had personally arranged dual identities for Luo Feng, Babata could barely contain her excitement, marveling that the King Blade River had already become someone even Hu Yanba could only look up to. Mentioning Hu Yanba naturally reminded Luo Feng of his long-held vow to avenge his teacher's death. In fact, The one who killed Huyanba back then was merely a low-tier king immortal skilled in soul attacks, known as King Devil Hand. With Luo Feng's current power, killing such a being would be effortless. Still, before taking action, Luo Feng prioritized further enhancing his own strength and that of his soul slaves, while also planning to return to Earth first to reunite with his family. To officially enhance his strength, Luo Feng had to sell off all the useless spoils of war in his possession and reinvest the wealth into strengthening both himself and his team, while also providing his family with additional means of protection. Although his wealth of several trillion mixed yuan units was still insufficient to equip each of his soul slaves with a heavy treasure, it was more than enough to purchase an evolution heart for Babata. In fact, shortly after his battle with Svika, Luo Feng had already used part of his fortune to acquire a metallic body for Babata, allowing her to embark on the path of cultivation and evolution. However, such a body offered almost no assistance in comprehending the original laws, making further breakthroughs nearly impossible. Only after fusing this metal body with an evolution heart could an intelligent lifeform truly gain the ability to comprehend the original laws like a genuine cultivator and thereby obtain a chance to break through to immortality. After completing the upgrade, Luo Feng left Primal Chaos City and returned directly to Earth. Because Earth held a unique status among the human civilizations of the universe, all 5 great powers had stationed strong guardians throughout the solar system, each maintaining a permanent teleportation channel connected to their respective headquarters. As a result, Luo Feng didn't need to spend months traveling through space by spaceship or rely on God Kingdom teleportation, as he could return to the solar system with ease straight from the Virtual Universe Company headquarters. Yet, as soon as he teleported into Earth's outer orbit and descended through the atmosphere, he was suddenly intercepted by an intelligent mech, which demanded that he show identification. Luo Feng's expression turned cold, he obliterated it instantly with his world power, then issued a chilling warning to whoever had orchestrated this deliberate obstruction. To the station enforcer, however, Earthborn humans were deemed lowly, unworthy of courtesy, especially when compared to the elites of the 5 major powers or the descendants of universe masters. In his eyes, Luo Feng was nothing more than someone who had luckily become a disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader, far less noble than himself, a direct descendant of a universe master. Although the higher-ups had issued strict orders forbidding anyone from provoking Luo Feng, he believed such protection was merely favoritism and excessive caution. Little did he know, what the High Command truly sought to protect were the stationed immortal officers themselves. After all, even the strongest among them were no more than peak king immortals, whereas Luo Feng could erase them effortlessly. Should any of them dare to cross Luo Feng's bottom line, only demise would await them. As for how Luo Feng would respond to the ongoing oppression of Earthlings by foreign powerhouses, would he erupt in fury and unleash a massacre, or stay composed and handle it with reason? And could he finally avenge his mentor Huyanbo's death? Stay tuned for the next spoiler, and I'll reveal it all for you. Well, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching this video. Wish you a wonderful day.